Want insight into the life of a national AI leader? Kelly Nuttall is here to share how those challenging psychology research subjects might become your secret weapon when consulting companies on AI transformation. Professionally Psyched is the podcast that brings you cutting-edge psychology research and real-world insights from our psych community of clinicians, researchers, and educators alike. In our special alumni spotlights, we chat to graduates from our psychology degree programs about how their skills learned in the classroom have become powerful tools supporting diverse career journeys and successes. Hi everyone and welcome to Professionally Psyched. I'm Jessica Muller, PhD candidate in Public Health at James Cook University, and before we get started we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we record, and for me today that's the Bindal and Wulgurukaba peoples. And I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and cultures from wherever you may be tuning in from across the country. In this alumni spotlight, Dr. Amanda Krause speaks with Kelly Nuttall, AI leader at Deloitte Australia, whose PhD in psychology from JCU launched her into market research, transport analytics, and now AI strategy consulting. Kelly reveals why she actively recruits psychology graduates for their curiosity and critical thinking skills. So grab your headphones and get ready to get professionally psyched about how your psychology degree can prepare you to guide business leaders through the AI revolution. Enjoy.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Could you start by introducing yourself, please?
I am Kelly Nuttall. I work at Deloitte at the moment, have for the last 13 years, but I graduated, my PhD would have been, it's a long time ago, 2006, 2007 from JCU in psych.
And how did you go from doing your PhD in psych to working at Deloitte today?
Basically, when I went to uni, I kind of did psychology because it was interesting to me at the time. I didn't think there would be a lot of maths or statistics in it. It was a real surprise to me when I realized you're actually doing statistics almost every semester. I had a love-hate relationship with math in high school. And so over time, when we started doing statistics and applying it to the real world, I was like, this is actually quite interesting. This makes sense to me now. And over time, got better and better at it. And then when I was doing my honours and then into PhD, I started tutoring in advanced statistics and research methodology. And so when I was finishing my PhD, I moved to Brisbane and I started working for a market research firm because they were doing a lot of customer survey design. And so I was able to leverage my research design and stats skills. And that saw me running quite a lot of, customer market research programs for big banks and for councils. And I got to work on some really interesting kind of real world problems. Then I got poached by one of my clients in a superannuation fund to go and actually start their research programs. And that was really interesting because I got to work in superannuation during the GFC. And then an opportunity came up where Transport and Main Roads had a role where it was really around building a centre of excellence for analytics, AI, data, modelling. And I thought, wow, I have no knowledge about transport. And at the time, I thought it sounded quite boring, but really exciting to build something with a big team. Because this was back in the days where I guess an analytics function would have one or two people, not like we see today. And so in a number of my other roles, I'd just had, I'd kind of reached the top of where I could go very quickly because there's only two of us. The transport one gave me a huge opportunity to be more of a leader and a junior executive of a function. And yeah, so I did that for a couple of years. And then we had a change of government and data wasn't the flavour of the day. So Deloitte came knocking and said, hey, you've got a great skill set and that you have worked on client side, you understand data, you understand analytics. Come and help consult to other clients who really are struggling with how to get value out of this information and make sense of it to make better evidence-based decisions. Over time in Deloitte, I guess I've done different roles. I've been the AI leader for the firm for a number of years. More recently, I've led the strategy practice, which brings together economics, strategy, and actuaries. But what I spend most of my time doing day to day now is working with C-suites and executives around how to get value out of AI technologies and how to transform their businesses. And so to bring it back to the origin story, I guess statistics gave me a really good understanding of connecting dots with data. So yeah, I never went out with a plan of I would be here, but I now actively look for psychology graduates when I hire people because I think there's two kind of paths you can go through in getting value out of data. There's the people who come through more of a database engineering, software engineering background, but there's the people who I look for who are really curious thinkers and really think around, well, why is something the way it is? How do I actually connect dots with information to make a more evidence-based decision? How do we actually use these technologies? And I think psych gives you that really good balance of mathematics, statistics, and critical thinking.
I love how you made reference to a love-hate relationship with statistics because I think that will resonate with a lot of students who come into psychology and, like you, are surprised that there is statistics at the core of this. And you just mentioned there that you are actively seeking psychology graduates as people to hire. So I
Mm.
wondered if you could expand on sort of why and what benefit you're seeing in that skill set that a psychology graduate has over somebody from another field.
So organizations will come to us often and say, we think we have this problem and we want to build an AI model to solve it. We want to predict something, we want to optimize something. The first question, I ask, and I think psychology, backgrounds ask is why? Like, why are you trying to do that? What would happen if you were able to succeed at that? Like to really challenge what is the problem we're trying to solve? When you come from a more technical background, you're like, yeah, cool job, bro. Let me go build that model. That sounds exciting. But really, I think it's really getting to the heart of what is a business problem and where is the business value in using this. And often what I would see with organizations is where they think they need to apply AI is not the actual problem they're trying to solve. Normally there's a higher order problem. They might try to predict something and then you'd go, well, why? And they're like, because we think this would lead to that. And I was like, well, let's look at the predictions of that instead. So I think it's just that whole curiosity around connecting a business problem with data and the role it can play and understanding often there's a bigger picture that is probably not being thought of. I think we're taught to in psychology, and I think we naturally are always trying to find connections between things that have never been proved before. We're naturally trying to always find some new pattern of research or something, right? How are these things related? Is this
Yeah.
actually the true relationship, or is this just a spurious correlation? Like all of that stuff. I think it sets you up
Yeah.
really well in a business environment, which, I never thought I'd end up in a corporate environment like this. I knew I definitely wasn't going to go clinical, but I never thought this is where I'd find myself.
I'm just curious, what did you think when you started? Did you have a pathway that you thought you would go down?
Um, I probably like got swept up into the like in first year, like maybe I could be on CSI like most people do. I'll get into forensic, and then you find out that forensic's actually not that. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's very sexy to a lot of people, but it was not to me. It's not like on the TV shows, right? So I don't know, like I kind of was open, and if I'm going to be 100% honest and authentic, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I
Hmm.
just sort of went, well, psych sounds interesting. I'll give it a go. And over time, I was like, I really like this subject. I really don't like the clinical stuff. And over time, it just kind of stats and research and being able to validate something was more interesting to me. And so, like, I think it just kind of, it found me, and I always think about what skills I want to learn in the next couple of years. And then I think about what role is going to give me the ability to learn those skills. Sometimes that's not about stats or psych at all, right? It might be I want to lead a team.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think like I think I always thought I would go into lecturing.
Hmm.
Like I
Okay.
thought I thought I would end up staying at university. And I personally think I was really good at teaching stats because I made it real world and fun. And I just loved helping students pass stats because, that was what I kind of prided myself on, is getting more people to pass stats, because it is really daunting to a lot of the students. So I kind of thought I'd be there, but I didn't get that opportunity to do that. So then I had to look at what next. And I was like, well, where else is stats being used?
Yeah. And I think what's important is what you mentioned earlier is that it's not just the numbers, but the story and the meaning that comes from connecting the numbers and creating a narrative out of what you're finding, right?
when I talked about going into the transport agency, that was one of the reasons I was so successful. When I first took on the role, they had teams of data analysts analyzing traffic survey data or travel behavior data. And their whole job was like analyze the data, do a report on it, and present it. And I came in and I was like, you've got congestion data, you've got population data, you've got market research data. Like, how you weave these things together in a story about congestion in Queensland and why we need more infrastructure. Like, you're looking at these things all in like individual surveys. And it's actually the story of why are we in the situation we are, that we can take this data and weave a really meaningful story and visualize it and build a narrative around that. And everyone's like, whoa, this is amazing. We just kind of mentally had to do that ourselves. So I think that probably hadn't existed until I came into the role. And not that I was the only person that could do that, but I think having that background is it's about what is the story.
And
And
applying that story to then solving real world problems, right?
correct.
It's not then just isolated to an assignment that you're doing, but you're with congestion having a possibility of impacting positively a million people's lives.
Exactly right. And I think that was really exciting to be able to do that kind of, so here's the data, that's the what, but the so what, now what? What do we do with it? And I think, that is my psych background. That is a natural curiosity that is just instilled into us from day one in psych.
Could you tell us a little bit more about now in your current role, what your day-to-day looks like?
My day job now is, if I look at my day tomorrow, for example, my day tomorrow, I am going to run a 2-hour workshop with the entire global C-suite of a major company. And the purpose of that workshop is to get them as an executive to align, take their hats off in their divisions and their parts of their business around their own kind of agendas and get them to agree and debate when it comes to AI. And we've got to make intentional choices, like rather than everyone just go AI everywhere, where do we think we as a business need to invest in AI to win in the markets we choose to play? Where will we be disrupted? And if we were going to set up a program for the next 2 years, what business problem are we going after? And it's all about their business strategy around where do they win and what processes are key to shifting that to win. And that's where we'll start to anchor their AI journey. So they've got that. I also run, with a different university, no offense, JCU, a executive micro-credential with the University of Sydney Business School on AI fluency. So I've got 2 sessions tomorrow that I'm running with them, one for anyone in the public who's an executive that wants to sign up and learn more about AI, and one through the Australian Institute of Company Directors, where we've got board members now starting to educate themselves on AI. And then, a part of my job is sales and trying to find new business for us as well. So, starting to have conversations with other potential clients around how are they thinking about AI. I focus mostly in the AI strategy space, like more at the kind of business level of why would you go on this journey. But I have in the past done roles where, I'd have teams then building AI models in parallel. Again, my job would be to kind of oversee them and make sure they are actually solving a business problem and they're focusing on the right things.
Yeah, speaking of focusing on the right things, AI is such a immensely quick moving societal presence right now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about the next psychology graduate? What is going to be the big thing that they're going to be able to focus on or transform or get their hands dirty with?
Yeah, look, I think educate yourself on, I mean, I would say most graduates are already very well versed in AI technologies. I mean, they're a game changer, right? Like, we're not interested in people who don't use these technologies. We actually need you to use these technologies and bring the innovation of how we might use these technologies to do what we do in better ways and new innovative products and services we can do with AI. Because a lot of the leaders of most organizations in Australia aren't digital natives and aren't going to understand how to use these technologies. What got organizations to here is not what's going to get them to there in the future. And so, I look for people who use those technologies, but then also the skills, the attributes. Like, we don't, it's people who are curious to learn new things, to think outside the box, but that critical thinking, the ability to ask questions. So if I look at consulting, for example, traditionally we've been an industry that all the consulting firms would hire these really successful experts, and then you would be paying for an expert to give you answers. I don't think that world works anymore. I think it's, anyone can kind of have industry expertise in something with ChatGPT now. So our job shifts from being experts with answers to being more explorers who ask better questions. And if I sit down with a CEO, it's really around, tell me about your challenges, asking really good questions, bringing AI into it. Let's use AI to help solve this problem, but being able to actually think through critically what is a problem we're solving, and then how do we use these technologies? Like, that is a skill that I think psychology students are just so well trained for, is the ability to ask a lot of questions, to have empathy, to understand, the human. Every person in a senior role in an organization in Australia is a human that is grappling with really tough things, like the environment businesses are operating in, I think, are super challenging right now. You've got geopolitics, you've got technology advancement that's faster than ever before, you've got climate challenges. Like, we need problem solvers with empathy and critical thinking, but also can use technology. I think the other thing that we do so well is it's not just about being able to crunch data, it's actually how do models work. Like, I don't code and I have never coded. I can run an SPSS model, but it's the how do models work. So, understanding how predictive statistics work, and AI is all prediction. Having that theoretical understanding, even if you can't code, of I get what this is doing, I get this is a cluster analysis, I get this is a predictive model, I get that this is an optimization tool, I understand how that works. That's what makes you special, not the fact that you can code or can't code. It's the how do I actually build a good model in the first place?
And I think that's a really great point to end on, because we've kind of come full circle, right? That it's not just the numbers, it's connecting the dots, and it's not just, even if you're not going to go into being a researcher, you're still asking those critical questions and you still need to think through those. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
You're so welcome, and good luck to everyone with their careers out there. We need more of us out there in the world.
Thanks for listening to Professionally Psyched. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the ongoing support of our Psych community. If you'd like to show your support, or if you want us to cover anything on the pod, reach out via our emails, and don't forget you can listen to full episodes on Spotify.